spring in the south of France. I got on a plane about a year ago feeling little prepared and not sure what to expect from coming here. A little over a year ago, however, I also began a project that would end up changing my life, I think, almost as much as moving countries has. Today, I wanted to delve into the story behind that project and what things have been like over the last year since I moved. So, this is a piece from my project, Donaloon. It's a fake video game told entirely through painted and drawn screenshots made with traditional art. I began this project after, oh boy, a number of years of feeling that things were just barely rolling along. I won't get into all of that today, but you know how sometimes things have seemed to be at a standstill for so long, and then one day you hear the right thing, you see the right thing, and all the little voices inside you that have been whispering for a needed change suddenly become explosively loud, and everything just kind of unravels from there. That's what happened to me with this project. About a year ago, I found out that fake games were a thing. And it resonated so deeply with me for whatever reason that for a few days I remember feeling almost a sort of fear, a fear of how potent that resonation was. It was so heavy inside of me. I didn't even know what to do with it. And at the time, I was preparing for my international move, among other things, so perhaps that added to the fear a little bit. Either way, I let it sit with me for a few days, pondering on if it was just a whim or if I truly had something there. And during those days, it just wouldn't leave my mind. So one evening I sat down and decided to write out some ideas, and it sort of just flooded out of me. Very quickly, I was surprised at how much of a plot I had for this project. I've spent many years writing behind the scenes and keeping it to myself. And I don't feel that plots have ever been my strong point as far as finding a beginning and an end goes. I often get a little bit lost along the way. But this just sort of unfolded. And the passion and inspiration I felt for it never really seemed to die out. But I do want to say, on the topic of passion and keeping inspired, for me at least, the answer isn't to wait around for it. Rather, the best way to stay inspired is to continue working. Inevitably, whenever we're excited for something new, it feels amazing when we first get started. There's a lot of hype there. But after a little while, somehow it seems to get harder, and that fire kind of dies out, and I think that's where many of us stop. I've certainly experienced that many times. I've left so many things in my life unfinished, books, movies, even many of my most beloved video games. It's a strange habit I've had, actually, of playing games for hundreds of hours and never finishing them because I'm so busy wandering and exploring in them, and eventually I just sort of move on to another game. But the one thing I am decent at finishing is my artwork, my drawings, my paintings, and that thing has taught me that I am capable of finishing things to some extent. although it took years, even just to get to the point of being able to finish pieces of art. Um, but all that is to say that despite this fiery inspiration I felt at the beginning of this project, I knew at some point that fire would inevitably dim a little bit, and it would be up to me to continue stoking those flames. So it's been about a year now. I just celebrated the 1 year anniversary, or La Luniversary, as I call it, because of the name of this project, Donaloon. Um, and I'm happy to say that the fire is still very much there. It has not come without its struggles. I've had many struggles throughout the process of creating the art, and especially with finding time to do so. As much as I imagined that I would find a way to balance this project among other things, it didn't prove to be quite what I hoped. After I finally managed to get to France, which is a whole other story, I did this thing where upon arrival, very shortly after arrival, first I think I got COVID, but it was kind of a subtle, insidious one where I couldn't totally tell. I just felt it in how long the effects lasted. So I was very, very fatigued my first few weeks here, just beyond tired, could barely keep my eyes open. But I thought I would get back to everything I had previously known fairly quickly. I told myself, so soon I'll be fluid in French because I do not speak French. I also told myself that I would be back to my hobby of weightlifting, and that I would have my business up and running again so soon, and that I would be really diving into this project. Well, that's not how things went at all. I still don't speak French, though it is slowly improving. It took me months to get back to the gym, and even longer, seemingly, to get my former, albeit very novice, strength levels back. And as far as my business, I won't even begin to get into all the complications with that. But in between all of that, I was trying to devote to this project, and it just wasn't moving as fast as I had hoped either. And perhaps if you are a more organized person than me, or perhaps just because you're an outside perspective, you might have noticed that I mentioned I was hoping for quite a lot for someone who had just moved countries, with all the many complications around that I haven't even gotten into. And I think therein lies the problem. I was trying to do too much and giving everything nearly equal priority in my head. And beyond that, and worst of all, I've realized I was afraid. I was still afraid of that project that had hit me so hard when it came to me. The thing that I think about all day, pretty much, when I'm not working on other things, and even when I am, I'm always thinking about this project. But I had developed some fears around it. And I think those fears were largely based on the fact that everything else felt so heavy in life. So many life complications were hitting as they do. The world doesn't wait for you to keep existing. And throughout all the stress, I think I had developed a sort of self-doubt about even being able to put a lot of time into this project. And I felt that I needed to almost focus on other things. But I began to feel directionless in general. And it wasn't until fairly recently that so much started going awry that it almost made me just start to feel like I needed to let go altogether. And I have my wife to thank for that, honestly, predominantly. She is truly my biggest fan and supporter. Um, she has kindly pushed me harder than anyone else on this project in a way that I needed so dearly, and encouraged me to give it my all despite how irresponsible it feels, how so much else is seemingly going wrong on the side. And for that, I am eternally grateful because I think her words finally got through to me. And I've decided to just fully jump into this. Some days I feel so many probably unreasonable fears. I feel like I'm letting people down because I haven't gotten my business back up and running here yet. I feel that I'm letting myself down regularly with so many things that I'm not doing perfectly or even mildly well. But in the end, this project is the thing that truly means the most to me. And if you've ever had something you felt really strongly about, I think you probably understand the feeling of almost being willing to throw everything else away for it. I've had that feeling around my art for many, many years, from the time I decided to become a full-time artist. But I think over those years, I lost sight of the heart of that feeling. I think over the years, I began to feel like, well, I am a full-time artist, so I need to be practical. And there were many times where life needs seemed to take over and sort of force that practicality. But I think that created a pattern of fear, one in which I lost sight of the risk-taking side of myself that used to be much stronger. And I replaced it with this sense of, if I don't do things just so, I won't be able to continue making it as an artist. But the problem was, those things that I wanted to do just so weren't really serving me anyway. They were holding me in place. I wonder if you've ever felt that with something that you're working so hard on, that you devote to daily, perhaps, but there's a feeling that you're never really moving. You're just sort of holding on to what's maybe become a whisper of something that was once much louder. Maybe that's something practical. Maybe that's a dream that you thought you wanted, but you're still holding it, and it's not giving you what you hoped it would, or what you once wanted from it. And if that's the case, I'm I'm not sorry that you're going through that, because I think it's an important thing to go through. But I wish you a lot of love and a lot of energy. And I especially wish you a lot of clarity, because it's so hard to see, or it's rather hard to want to open your eyes when that's happening, especially if you're in a position where you don't feel like you can make any changes, which many people are in those positions. I can't hope to speak for other people's circumstance. It's a privilege that I even get to do art in the first place. And because I have that privilege, I don't want to waste it anymore. I don't want to hold myself back with practicality. So I'm diving into this much more fully than I've allowed myself over the last year. And as such, I wanted to talk about it with you. I wanted to step into a different medium than I've explored in a long time, which is video making. This is obviously in no way a how to paint video, but it is a conversation, and I suppose it serves a little bit as my devlog since I am developing a fake video game, which I don't have any intention of turning into a real game, by the way, though I do intend to create a fake manual and guidebook and soundtrack for this project. But more than anything, it's a method of storytelling for me. Video games served such an important role in my childhood. They gave me so much escape and freedom when I felt I didn't have much otherwise. They allowed me to exercise my imagination, and I have so many emotional attachments to the experiences that they seemingly allowed me to have. And I guess that's why this medium speaks to me so heavily. This piece is called "The Weight of a Memory Returns to You. Will you bear it?" Memories are a big part, albeit a very painful aspect, of the plot of this game and story. The protagonist's own memories having become incredibly fragmented and broken, leaving them very lost. But I suspect that they'll see it through. I want to thank you so much for listening and letting me bear some of my own memories. And I hope if you're also chasing a dream, maybe this will be a reminder to you to get back to it, however scary it may be. The pursuit of a dream can feel like a lonely process, but you are in fact not alone. Have a beautiful day or night wherever you are, dreamer, and be well. Bye.